Custom models. You probably would have seen everywhere. From your big basket or be it any website where you would be heading towards, you'll notice the cards, all the designs in the card, and in fact the data also are exactly in the same format. How exactly is the entire thing being accommodated and what goes behind creating that data we'll try to see in this particular session. More upon, once we are on to module 6, we are going to understand how this can be fetched over the internet. Well, that limits my present session to show the hard-coded data inside the app. Well, what's hard-coded? The images that we want to show into our custom list, as well as the title for the product and the text for the product will all be right now fetched within the app. That's because we haven't gone to that level wherein you can pick things up from the internet server. Well, it's kind of a promise. You will be understanding the depth of the Flutter programming with servers, but for that you have to go through the basics. Let's dive into the basics in this session. Let me lay down the blueprint for our present session, wherein we're going to understand how to create common list items. Let's say once you go to YouTube or Amazon, you'll notice that they all have a list of scrolling items. So, well, what do I mean by list of scrolling items is when you go to YouTube, you'll see a particular pattern in which the scroll or the entire data for the YouTube video gets loaded. For example, I'll search up YouTube and let's say on the search window, I say hello. You'll notice, let's say there is this video followed by over here there is the title for the video, the number of views, etc. been there, and exactly that's been replicated even on the second one. So the same behavior is even applicable when I head over to Amazon and over here I search, let's say, phones, and you'll notice that these are the designs. Let's say the image shows up here, the title of the phone, amount, etc. all the details being replicated even in the second one. The thing is, I'm talking about the design. The content of the design or the content of the card is changing. The card, which is apparently over here till this part, you can notice it's exactly the same even when I scroll to the very bottom. What I'm going to show to you is how this behavior could be replicated when we are into our Flutter code. Now, we're also going to create a source of data. Now, what do you mean by source of data? So let's say when I draw the blueprint for my page 3, let this be the card, and over here I'll try to load the image in circular cropped fashion, following which I'll put my text over here. Let's say this is the product title, and let me have a bigger size product title followed by a short size product subtitle. Now I'll take the amount, which is, let's say, the product price, and put it over here. Now the entire goal of teaching you this is, let's say that I'll just take this image and put it over here. Let me change my color of pen. So you'll notice that there are different attributes. Basically, this image is going to be a string or a URL on which the image will be loaded. This is a number, or basically an integer, followed by this is an alphanumeric text. That's because I can always have iPhone 14. So the number 14 is basically alpha and numeric, followed by the subtitle, which I'll restrict it to just be a string. In this way, what I intend to teach to you is how do you create something called as a data model. Now, keeping in mind that we have to create all these variables and they should be at one single place, let me just head over inside my page view demo. I'll create a Dart file as product data model. Now the class product data model is going to have first my string image URL, followed by string product title, followed by the product subtitle, and lastly there is an integer for price. Now what I intend to do is make all these four variables to be mandatory. So I'll right click on generate, take the constructor, select all the variables and click on OK. Now we all know if I want to make this constructor variables to be mandatory, I have to append required. So I'll cut this, place them into different lines, and then holding my Alt button, I'll just type required. So all these variables have now been mandatory. Next, I'm going to prepare get product data as one particular class. So this class get product data is going to pick images from this particular open source website. So what I can try and do is, let's say I'll be trying to put this image URL, which in fact will load this image onto my app. Let me copy this, create a list of product data model, and over here I'll create product data model product 1 equals to product data model, and then I'll add some dummy descriptions to my image. So for example, this image URL which I copied, I'll add it over here. Product title, well, that's a laptop, so I'll put Apple MacBook Air laptop. I'll put the product subtitle as a perfect laptop to speed up your work, and I'll put the price, let's say, to 60,000. Now I can copy this product 1 and try to replicate for 4 more products. For example, I'll just do product 2. Let's say we have this shoes, so I'll pick this, put over here female shoes, shoes that rest perfectly at your feet to give you the best comfort. And I'll put this as 4,000 rupees. Well, this image is actually nice. It has got all the accessories that a men would actually want to have on their daily basis. So let me copy this and duplicate this product to add this image, which should be my favorite, and I'll rename this to product 3. Product title to be men's accessories. Includes just everything required for a perfect style, for best style. And let me put this as a 1500 rupees. Product 4. Let me pick this coffee mug. And I'll add the subtitle as a perfect partner to help you get started with your busy day and an awesome life. And this should be, according to me, 300 rupees. Because I intend to show you the scrolling behavior, so I'm going to add the last product, which let's say is laptop is completed. And well, I can just try putting the sunglasses. Polaroid glasses, so awesome that can leave no damages to your eyes, which can see eternal beauty. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, now this should be costing around 800 rupees. Now what I'm going to try and do is add all of them in one particular list, and I'll call it to be product list. So here, one below the another, I'll add all the products. So what I have done over here, created a list, but in the last case we had a string, hence every time we added double quotes and then a string, even that followed to the page 1, wherein the list of days of the week were again strings. However, in our case presently, we are going to go for a complex list, which basically I've put the data type for the list, and then I can try and do product 2, product 3, 4 and 5. In this way, all the products have been added into the list, and then one final return statement which will make all the errors all the entire list to be getting returned from this particular function. So next what do I do is heading to the page 3. What I am going to try and do is convert this to a stateful widget. Well, what is the reason behind that is something we'll try to explain in the next session. Well, every company kind of strives to go for a better user experience. And in fact, you'll hardly notice the apps that you use would kind of have a terrible design, or in fact, it would have kind of a placement of the components which is going to be weird. Well, that's exactly what we have learned in this particular session. What we have done is got the data that has to be shown onto the app. But how to show it, we're going to certainly cover in the next part of the video, wherein I'm going to have the entire page 3 to show up my custom list. In fact, the stateless widget, we're going to go and convert to a stateful widget, and the reason would be intriguing. Stay tuned and keep learning with open minds.